The Call of the Wild, 잭 런던 야성의 부름 17번째 이야기. It caused him to feel a vague, sweet gladness, and he was aware of wild yearnings and stirrings for he knew not what. Sometimes he pursued the call into the forest, looking for it as though it were a tangible thing, barking softly or defiantly as the mood might dictate. He would thrust his nose into the cool wood moss or into the black soil where long grasses grew and snort with joy at the fat earth smells. Irresistible impulses seized him. From the forest came the call, or one note of it, for the call was many-noted, distinct and definite as never before, a long-drawn howl like, yet unlike, any noise made by husky dog. And he knew it in the old familiar way as a sound heard before. He sprang through the sleeping camp, and in swift silence dashed through the woods. As he drew closer to the cry, he went more slowly, with caution in every movement. He came to an open place among the trees, and saw a long, lean timber wolf with nose pointed to the sky. He had made no noise, yet it ceased from its howling and tried to sense his presence. But stalked into the open, half crouching, tail straight and stiff, feet falling with unwonted care. Every movement advertised commingled threatening and overture of friendliness. It was the menacing truth that marks the meeting of wild beasts that prey, but the wolf fled at sight of him. He followed with wild leapings in a frenzy to overtake. The wolf whirled about, pivoting on his hind legs after the fashion of Joe and of all cornered husky dogs, snarling and bristling, clipping his teeth together in a continuous and rapid succession of snaps. Buck did not attack, but circled him about and hedged him in with friendly advances. The wolf was suspicious and afraid, for Buck made 3 of him in weight, while his head barely reached Buck's shoulder. Watching his chance, he darted away, and the chase was resumed. He would run till Buck's head was even with his flank, when he would whirl around at the bay, only to dash away again at the first opportunity. But in the end, Buck's pugnacity was rewarded, for the wolf, finding that no harm was intended, finally sniffed noses with him. Then they became friendly and played about in the nervous, half-coy way with which fierce beasts belie their fierceness. After some time of this, the wolf started off at an easy lope in a manner that plainly showed he was going somewhere. He made it clear to Buck that he was to come, and they ran side by side through the somber twilight. On the opposite slope of the watershed, they came down into level country where great stretches of forest and many streams. Buck was wildly glad. He knew he was at last answering the call, running by the side of his old brother towards the place from where the call surely came. They stopped by a running stream to drink, and stopping, Buck remembered John Thornton. He sat down. The wolf started on toward the place from where the call surely came, then returned to him, sniffing noses and making actions as though to encourage him. But Buck turned about and started slowly on the back track. For the better part of an hour, the wild brother ran by his side, whining softly. Then he sat down, pointed his nose upward, and howled. It was a mournful howl, and as Buck held steadily on his way, he heard it grow faint and fainter until it was lost in the distance. John Thornton was eating dinner when Buck dashed into camp and sprang upon him in a frenzy of affection. For 2 days and nights, Buck never left the camp, never let Thornton out of his sight. But after 2 days, the call in the forest began to sound more imperiously than ever. Buck's restlessness came back on him, and he was haunted by recollections of the wild brother and of the smiling land beyond the divide, and the run side by side through the wide forest stretches. Once again he took to wandering in the woods, but the wild brother came no more, and though he listened through long vigils, the mournful howl was never raised. He began to sleep out at night, staying away from camp for days at a time, and once he crossed the divide at the head of the creek and went down into the land of timber and streams. There he wandered for a week, seeking vainly for fresh sign of the wild brother, killing his meat as he traveled, and traveling with the long, easy loaf that seems never to tire. He fished for salmon in a broad stream that emptied somewhere into the sea, and by this stream he killed a large black bear, blinded by the mosquitoes while likewise fishing and raging through the forest, helpless and terrible. Even so, it was a hard fight, and it aroused the last latent remnants of Buck's ferocity. And 2 days later, when he returned to his kill and found a dozen wolverines quarreling over the spoil, he scattered them like chaff. He was a killer, surviving triumphantly in a hostile environment where only the strong survived.